Hey guys, it's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to make some centerpieces. Actually, I think we'll make 4. And I'm trying to give you some ideas of quick and simple ways that you can dress up your Christmas table and with as little as possible. And like I said, very quickly is kind of what I am concentrating on here. And I had these little signs. I've had them in my store for a long time, and I used to sell them well, but I bought too many, and they just don't sell anymore. So I'm just going to use them for my base. So obviously, you could use any kind of wood that you want. I guess you could even use cardboard of some kind. I just need a base that's flat. And I'm using 3 of the Dollar Tree ornaments. They come white like this, and they're plastic. I've taken the top off of them because they're silver on the top, and I don't like that silver, so I painted them just an antique bronze color. And I just wanted to give them more of an old look. So, like I said, I'm using these Dollar Tree ornaments, and then I'm going to coat these with some glue. And you can just use regular school glue for this, or you could use Mod Podge. But I'm kind of alternating which side I put the opening on here. I just felt like that would give it a more cohesive look. And I'm just gluing these down. Now, I thought possibly about leaving the tops off these and kind of using them as a vase of sorts and put some sort of small greenery in those, but I'm going to be adding some Christmas greenery to the base, so I felt like that would be kind of redundant and maybe a little too much anyway. So, like I said, I just painted the tops, and I'm letting those dry while I work on these. So like I said, I've got this as a base, and you don't need much of a base. But now I am coating them with glue. And actually, my Mod Podge, when it ran out, I just put some Elmer school glue in there and just a little bit of water, just enough to thin it down slightly. And that's what I use for Mod Podge most of the time. But definitely it works well for this. So I'm just coating this well. And then I'm going to take some iridescent glitter and just sprinkle it over the top. Now, you could use any kind of glitter that you want. If you like the more metallic finishes of glitter, then obviously you could do that. That's just not, I don't like that look myself, and so I'm just using the iridescent glitter. And I like to use a little tub like this when I'm using glitter, so that I don't make such a mess, because glitter is, as you know, very messy. So once I get these glued on, then I'm just taking some Christmas picks that I have, and just cutting small pieces off, and with this one, very small pieces, because I'm just going to kind of stick them in here and there and build a base for this, or cover my base with this. So I just take some hot glue and just start gluing these pieces in. Now, obviously, if you wanted to make a long one of these for a longer table, then you could make these as long as you wanted and just add as many ornaments as you want. You could even use some larger ones as base, even the very larger ones, and fill in with some of the smaller ones, and that would be really pretty also. So the greenery that I'm using here is not wonderful quality. It's okay, but it almost has more of a plasticky look to it. But I don't worry about that, because for actually a couple of reasons. One is I'm going to be adding some other greenery, and using a few different textures really helps richen the look up, if that makes sense. But the big thing that I'm going to be doing to this is adding some paint. So I'm just going to be dabbing some paint on the greenery, and that also makes it look a lot better. So you can take a greenery that's very cheap or dated and freshen it up that way. So then you're able to use some of your floor or greenery that you are not that crazy about. So as long as it has a Christmas look to it. So I want to turn this from both directions because I can see this being more of a centerpiece. So I would imagine that you could put this on your mantle or an area like that where the back wouldn't be seen. So if you're going to do that and keep it yourself, then obviously you wouldn't have to do the back. But I'm just going to make it where it could be used either way. And like I said, I'm just hot gluing everything in place and filling in all the areas so that you don't see any of my wood base. And then once I get all this filled in, then I'm just going to add just touches of other textures in with this. And I like to add just a few little pine cones. So now if you start out with an evergreen look, and I'm still putting evergreen in this, but the greenery that I'm adding now, to me isn't quite as Christmassy, but that doesn't matter as long as you put it with some greenery that is, then all you're doing here is just adding texture. And then, like I said, we're going to be kind of frosting this with some paint later anyway. So really we're just filling in and adding texture. Now I guess I don't really recommend adding something with a bloom on it. Not saying that you couldn't, but I just like the greenery look. So once I get finished filling this in, then one of the greeneries that I used had some little plastic snowflakes added to it, but they were real fine and wispy. And so I just thought that would be pretty to add here and there to this, since I had the iridescent look on the bulbs. I just felt like it just would look good to add those in here and there. So once I finished filling this in, and I put put the hangers back on my bulbs, then I just took some white paint and kind of dabbed here and there. I even dabbed a little on top of my little hangers. So that's all that I did to this, and I think that it turned out really well. Okay, so for my next centerpiece, I'm going to take this dough oil. It's not an old one, and it's kind of small, but I have plenty of these on hand. So I'm taking that and an old Atlas jar, and I'm just going to put a candle down in that. Now this, I wouldn't recommend for this one putting one of the battery operated ones, because then you're not going to be able to have access to the on-off switch, and then if you try to take it out to do that, then you're gonna mess your little arrangement up. So I recommend just using a regular candle in here, a little votive candle, and then when it comes time for your company to come, or whatever you're using this for, then you could just use a lighter and just go ahead and light it, and then you could replace the candle the next time you used it. But I'm just going to do a little arrangement in here. So I wanted a clear jar. I've done these with the blue ball jars before, but I wanted a clear jar in this case because I just wanted to be able to see that candle better. So I'm using another one of these little deers that I've been using in my woodland theme decor. And I just took some hot glue and glued it right to the bottom of that because that's not a permanent hold. It'll be easy to remove later for these items that I decided to glue down. And but I just feel like it gives it more stability. And I'm taking some of these trees that I had gotten at the Dollar Tree in a pack of 3. And I just had wrapped some burlap around the bottom to give it a better look than that little white base that it comes on. So now I'm just going to start kind of filling in. So I'll put my main items on first, and then I want to give this a look the look of having a blanket of snow underneath. So I'm just taking some polyfill and just kind of piecing it in there, and just putting it in and kind of squishing it down so that it looks like there's snow. And then I'm just going to add some frosted pine cones in here and there, and some fake snow from the Dollar Tree, and sprinkling it here and there, and that's all the filling I'm going to do. I don't want to get too much greenery around the bottom and take away from the height of my larger items. So that's why I decided just to use these little pine cones. And the snow that I'm using on these is just the little styrofoam, the little tiny styrofoam balls. And now all I'm going to do to this is just tie a little piece of burlap around the top, and add a little rusted bell, and then this will be finished. And then for the next item, I'm just going to take a little wreath centerpiece. It's just a little, I guess this is wicker piece that has some grid on the bottom of it there, but it's still not filling enough to where I might lose some things through it. So I just took a little paper doily and put in the bottom of it just to kind of help it contain what I'm putting in it. And obviously you can change this out with seasons, but I'm going to keep this one very simple and just put a little fake bird's nest in it, and then put some eggs in my nest and a bird in beside it rather. And then I'll just kind of fill in there with greenery, and like I said, keep this one very simple. And again, the greenery that I'm going to fill in with is just going to be little pieces, little twigs from some pigs. So I use very little greenery. And obviously I'm not gluing anything in place here. I'm just kind of placing it to where it'll stay really well, but it's completely removable because, like I said, I might want to change this out with the season and still leave it out. Now, for this particular one, I didn't go back over it with any paint. I didn't feel like it needed that, but you could definitely do that. But I did add some little pieces of white berries to this. But then this one was complete. So the last item that I'm going to work on is going to be a tiered tray. And although there'll be a lot to look at on this, it will be, again, super simple and very little items that you actually have to purchase for this. So I'm using some greenery and again cutting pieces from it, and I'm adding some of the longer wispier greenery first before I put my larger items, because these will be harder to place once I have those larger items in place. So, like I said, I'm just kind of building a little of my greenery first. And then once I finish that, then I'll add my large items, just a few large items, and then start filling in with the smaller items again. And as you can see, I'm literally using little scraps from some of my floral. Now I'm going to be adding some paint to certain items to make it look like snow. Generally that would be best to do ahead of time, but I'm kind of figuring this one out as I go, and I'm just making sure that where I put my paint, it doesn't get on my plate. So I'm going to add some pine cones and add some paint to those also, and just kind of do that as I go. Like I said, ideally you would have these pine cones already painted and some of the greenery already painted, but just for the sake of this video, I just kind of did it as I went. Again, I'm really sorry that I'm so behind on my comments. I promise you I will get to them, but I'm just doing a little at a time as I have time to do them. Like I said, I just don't want to run out of time before I run out of Christmas ideas to post. So I'm just getting as much as I possibly can on, and that's doing most days a video a day. So like I said, it causes my comments to build up, and then obviously I have a lot less time to get to them. Now this particular tray sold the day that I put it out, so apparently this look on a tiered tray was a hit. And I guess the hardest part of selling these tiered trays is trying to keep them intact while they transport them. So I just found a box that it would sit down in, and she bought some other items that I just kind of stuffed around it, and she said she'd just have to drive carefully. So but I do like how this one turned out, and this was the last one that I did. And then I just finished it off by adding a few more small pine cones and sprinkling some loose snow in it. And for this one I used the fake snow from the Dollar Tree that wasn't the little round styrofoam balls. I hope you guys are enjoying your Christmas season, and I hope that you're getting to visit with family and spend time celebrating the true meaning behind Christmas. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless you and your family.